Hello there, welcome back. In this episode, I will give you an example of how farm is done with Y engines. Of course, this is experimental, so everything I'm showing you here is subject to change. But so far, this is how it works. So in previous episode, I talk about the different farms you can do, right? So the farms I'm going to show you today are simply corn farm and a sugarcane farm. Okay, and how you can combine the corn and sugarcane farm to either make unicomp or to produce power. All right, so let's go on. So sugarcane farm and corn farm. This here is a corn farm. Okay, I've shown this kind of build already on the forum. Some people say that it's messy. I don't know. I don't think it's messy at all. In fact, it's quite neat. But if you know what you're looking at, right? So what you're looking at, basically you are looking at the corn farm from the bottom. So these here are corn farms. I have inserters removing the corns and placing it on the blue belt, right? The express belt. I use express belt. Why? Because it generates quite a lot of corn. Okay. This here is 20 farms. And you can imagine that 20 farms times 500 corn is 10,000 corn, okay, on each belt. So that's basically 5,000 corn on a belt every 300 seconds. Okay, that's quite a throughput. Okay, you will obviously overload your basic belt. You can use a not an express, but a, what do you call that? Advanced belt. Yeah, fast belts. Instead of a blue belt or express belt, but I prefer express because it just gets there faster, and I want this stuff to be crushed as soon as possible. So you can see that the heavy lifting is not done by robots. Okay, the corn is not being harvested and then transported by robots. Rather, it's transported only belts. And I find this is it's better to use this sort of transportation than use the bots. The bots just consume a lot of power. Okay, so bots are not very good for sustained kind of throughput. Bots only good for very quick throughput. So things that are kind of spiky, for example, unloading ore, right, from a train station. So trains only come every 30 seconds or say a minute, and you want to unload it as fast as possible. But if you're going to do something like this, you better use belts. Now, is this the best way to build it? Probably not. There's, I think, another way. You can probably unload the corn directly into the presser, into the form press. So there is a build that I'm working over here, but I've never completed because I haven't had time to play with Yuoki Y engines recently. So yes, so as you can see, what's going on here is that you can press the corn into the form press immediately. Okay, instead of having belts. So this is an alternative build. And this build I'm able to squeeze in 24 of this frame farm into one chunk. So that's a bit more of a optimization. But the build that I have over there is already sufficiently maximum that the optimized build that I have on the left side of the map is it's just some novelty. Okay. Alright, so what are you doing with this corn? This corn is going into this splitter. It's splitting 16 ways. Okay. You have to do this because it's impossible for you to handle the picking the corn off the belt with just one flash inserter. That just won't do. So you can see that each of the form press is serviced by actually 3 of the fast inserter. And it took me a while to get this kind of build to absolutely squeeze everything into the space that I have. So Some of the corn is actually going to be made into seed, and this is in fact enough seed to service all of the corn. Okay, so if this corn is not being made to seed, the corn of course is being routed around and merged back into to be pressed for oil. Okay, so that's it. You basically have a kind of a figure 8 kind of build. So the top is essentially a 180 mirror of the bottom. Okay, and so what's going on with the vegetable oil, right? The vegetable oil, I told you before, is being squeezed, and the squeezing of the vegetable oil is then be used in this this chemical plant here to make into lubricant. Okay, so I collect all of the vegetable oils and shunt it this way for the bottom, servicing the bottom farms, and this vegetable oil is made into lubricant. So I have here a pump, and the pump is set such that the condition, if it has more than 100 vegetable oil, then it pumps. You have to do this, otherwise the vegetable oils will be pumped out completely, and you won't have any to run the liquid fuel engines. Okay. And you can see that I keep my pollution basically at 0 by using my fat mice cycle engines. Okay, so this is how I keep pollution down to nothing, essentially. And you know, the buggers won't bother you if you have no pollution, right? Hopefully. So that's it for the farm. For the corn farm, that is. This is 9 chunks, and this 9 chunks makes so much unicomp. So you can see here I'm making a ton of unicomp. I'm making 120 unicomp per minute. That's a lot. Okay, 120 unicomp per minute multiplied by 20 ore, so that's 2400 ore. Okay, if you were to mine, transport ore, that's a lot of ore. So this is a long-term investment. Excuse me, if you were to make this, it's a long-term investment. You would probably pay back all the investing here probably in half an hour in terms of unicomp investing. So let's go now to the corn. To the sugarcane. So sugarcane layout is very similar to the corn. Okay, as you can see, sugarcane layout is also mirroring that, but the way sugarcane works is that at least in this particular build, I am having basically 1 chunk of sugarcane to be serviced by 2 chunks of corn. Okay, so basically 20 farms of sugarcane is serviced by 40 farms of corn, and this ratio worked out such that I always end up consuming all of the sugarcane to be made into rabio. So this layout is rather complicated, so let me explain. So let's just take the bottom. Let's just take the top one actually. Okay, so the sugarcane is harvested, as you can see. I use the basic belt because, well, that's really all you need. You don't need a fast belt because the sugarcane grows quite slowly, right? 420, 300. This here grows all the time, so you can see that they stop unloading, but eventually they will unload just before they reach the end of their growth cycle. So what that means is all these are always operating. Okay, you're always operating. So the sugarcane comes down here and it's split it up, and I basically load balance the fast assembly. And fast assembly here is crucial actually. If you use vanilla assembler 3, you won't have enough speed to match with the rate at which you have to craft. So as you can see, the inserters are loading it with just enough sugarcane at just the same rate as being crafted. So this balancing was just spot on. I guess it was lucky that I got this balancing number. Anyways, the sugar, you can see that it is being loaded into the middle part here. This middle building is where the magic happens, right? You convert the sugar and the corn into rabio. Okay, so in this instance, the bot is in fact carrying the rabio away. I just had to. I didn't have room in order to make. And besides, I didn't want to use belt to transport the rabio. The rabio transportation is rather small anyway, so it's not a high throughput thing that you have to worry about. The bots can service that. So this belt, okay, this long winding thingy, what is it doing? The best way to explain it is that the corn is being balance loaded such that you have enough corn to make the seed, okay, the corn seed that is used by the corn farms, as well as the corn seed that is used to make the vulgar seed. Okay, so the corn is first. You can see that it runs through this loop here. So the corn is merged, right? So you merge corn from both plots of land. So this plot here and half of this plot here, right? So this here is being merged through here. Okay, so both of this guy is merged together under this splitter here. So this splitter is a merger. It merges and then splits immediately into three parts. Okay, so you have 50% of it going through to be made into seed. So this belt here is a 50% that's made into seed. Okay, if this here is not completely used, then it basically is being routed through this here first, which salvage some of that corn for oil. Okay, whatever is not used is then routed through the middle. So there are several branches of this. There are 3 branches of this set of inserter here. The reason why I am doing this with the inserter is, as you can see, in order to create 1 rabio, you need 70 corn. Okay, and that's a lot of corn. So if you're going to use inserter to load, you won't have enough room to load. And so you're going to have to use inserter bonus in order to load the form press. So that's what I did with this. So that's why you have this very strange looking build. Mainly is to load the belt, right? You want to load balance the belt and to force the corn to go through the middle first before being forced over to either this side to be pressed into oil, vegetable oil, or load into this side to be pressed into vegetable oil. Okay, so whatever is not picked up and put into this chest is eventually going to be shunted to the left side, and this belt here is the belt that shunts all of the stuff that is not being used and made into vegetable oil. Okay, so this other half here is the same mirror. It's a 180-degree mirror of what I've shown you. Building this here requires a lot of a lot of magic, I suppose. I had to think about all of this stuff for quite a bit before I make this build. But some basic thing is essentially you have to balance these belts in order to load the form press correctly, and you have to of course balance how you move the corn around, because the corn, remember, you use not only the corn to make the rabio, but you must also use the corn in order to craft the seeds to grow the corn, as well as the seed to grow the sugarcane. Okay, now the seeds that is used in the sugarcane is actually significant. Okay, it's not a small number. I think you use like 5,000 corn or something like that number in order to make all the seed that's needed all by these sugarcane farmer, because you need 3 of the seeds in order to grow some sugarcane, and each of the seed itself, each of the sugar seed requires 3 of the corn seed, and all of the corn seed requires 20 of the corn. So therefore 3 times 20 of the corn, right, seed is 60 corn, and then you have to multiply by 3 again because you need 3 of the vulgar seeds. So therefore, just to grow 300 sugarcane, you need 180 corn. earn 80 corn multiplied by the 20 farms you see there. So you're essentially consuming 3,600 corn every 420 seconds. So that's the corn and sugar combined. Again, I built it in 9 chunks. I don't know why it was 9. It just worked out that way. So I transport the corn and rabio to here, and you can see my train is coming to pick up. So this train is picking up and offloading the condensed pollution, right? So it picks up unicomp, rabio, and the mixed fuel, as well as gives off some of the condensed pollution to be made into mixed fuel. So we'll ride the train down. The set is for, is it 20 seconds or 30 seconds? One of those numbers. Alright, so we'll stop here. Alright, so what's going on here is this is a alternative use of corn. So if you don't want to press corn for oil to be turned into unicomp, then what you do is you press the corn for oil to be used in the liquid fuel machine. Okay, the liquid fuel engines. So you can see here that you're pressing what's going on here. I'm pressing the corn and burning it, burning the oil that's resulted from the pressing and made into mechanical fluid. Okay, mechanical force. Mechanical force is used in this humongous boiler. This is the Reisenberg that we have not talked about. And here it is. It is a boiler, 98% efficiency. It's running on rabio and mixed solid block. Balanced and stable, by the way. I'm running 50 something megawatts on this guy. Okay, so the entire farm is in fact self-sufficient. So I run the farms using its own fuel that it's made. Okay, and I end up with excess rabio as well as excess unicomp. So this here is of course just 5 Renzuer, and I'm making a lot of power through the Renzuer. Okay, so you're burning the rabio and the mixed solid fuel block in order to warm up the liquid to 500 degrees, and this is used to run the Renzuer to make power. Okay, so you may question like, how did I get so much vegetable oil? Well, vegetable oil is essentially supplied by 2 chunks of farms, of corn farm, and that is sufficient in order to make the vegetable oil needed to run the Reinsberg at 53 megawatt. In fact, I have some excess stuff. So some of that in fact is excess, and I'm making some unicomp. You see, I make a few unicomp. Not too much, but even then, I still make a few unicomp. Okay, let's go down. So this is my final station. What it does, unicomp is requested and loaded. You can see here that I have so much unicomp, I don't know what to do with it. And this too is burning rabio. Right? You can see that rabio is here, and it burns a mix of solid fuel block as well as rabio. At the moment, rabio is not being put in because it has solid fuel block. So the way I set this up is that it always burns solid fuel block if there is any solid fuel block. Okay. If there is, if you have no solid fuel block, then you will burn rabio. Okay. At the moment, the power of this is only 5 megawatt because I disconnected it from the grid, so you don't see it burning stuff. All right, so this is a different way. Instead of making MF from vegetable oil, I use the quantrinum reactor. And in this instance, I am making MF by burning unicomp. Right. So that's one way of burning unicomp. The alternative way of burning it is, of course, if you burn instable quantrinum. Okay, so instable quantrinum is an alternative way of burning. There it is. Okay, so you can see that it makes that much quantrinum. The left part of this base is the chunk that I used to make the instable quantrinum, or rather the quantrinum itself. The building of the quantrinum is rather complex. All this is all the stuff necessary in order to make enough of the quantrinum to burn, in order to supply this Reisenberg. I had supplied this Reisenberg was running at around 55 megawatts, so at this rate I believe my quantrinum is in fact insufficient or barely sufficient. So quantrinum is made, you can see that I made from all the raw material. I ground up the green chunks, I ground up the blue chunks to make the pellets, to make the Durotor, to make the F7, the FC, the charge FC. Charge FC and Durotor is put into the atomic quantum composer to make the instable, not to make the instable, but to make the quantrinum. Quantrinum requires that you have some alien artifacts as well as unicomp itself. Okay, so it's a very complicated process, but I salvage basically everything. I salvaged the mud balls and made into unicomp. I salvaged the ore, not the ore, but the stone to be made into unicomp. I salvaged the toxic dust to be made into unicomp. And anything basically that I don't use, I made into unicomp. So you see that my fat mice engine, there's a ton of them around here, right? There's just like 3 of them here to service this pollution that's coming out from this chunk. There's a lot of pollution. This here also is 3, right? Just to service this guy. So that's that. I hope that it gives you some idea on how to play with Y engines. I will give another episode to show you how to grow your farms with animals, and that should boost your productivity of the farms. That's the main use of the animals anyway, is to mainly boost the productivity of the farms. Okay, so we shall be back at another episode. I'll see you soon.